Our thanks to Pursuit for leading us this morning. It feels a little bit like homecoming to me and to some others of us around here. I get to introduce one of my classmates to you, although she looks so much younger than I do. I'm not sure how that happened, but anyway, we did graduate together from this institution. Back then, Greenville College, obviously now Greenville University. Sharon Almon is her name. She's been called to uplift, motivate, encourage, and promote healthy relationships. Sharon and her loving husband, Maurice, we kind of know him as Reese, of 37 years, are coordinators of the marriage ministry at Word in Action Fellowship Church in Atlanta, Georgia. And Reese is here with us today. Reese, I'd like you to stand so we could greet you as well. I also want to welcome those of you who are here to support Sharon and Reese, who come here to hear them this morning. We want to welcome you to chapel. Sharon has worked in nonprofit management and workforce development for over 20 plus years, and she's currently the DeKalb County Community Coordinator for Reentry Services. She's a 1983 speech communications graduate from Greenville University, graduated with honors. Her greatest achievement is CEO as wife, mother of 2 adult children, James and Christine, and grandmother of a beautiful little baby girl that I got to see pictures of who just learned to walk. And I bet that Sharon would show you those pictures in the video if you would ask her. Actually, you might not even have to ask her. She'll just show it to you. She's the author of a book called More Than a Paycheck, and that book will be available for purchase after chapel today in the back. And Sharon will also be in Joe's Java from 11:30 to 12:30, and for the first 20 of you that go, you can get a specialty drink on us. So that's from 11:30 to 12:30, free specialty drink from us. And then 12:30 on, she'll be in the DC for lunch. So if you'd like to talk with her further, there's 2 other opportunities for you. So please welcome with me my classmate, my good friend, Sharon Almon.
Well. It feels like, now look, I got to tell you about my little supplies up here. I've got this fan just in case I get overheated. So that's a little prop. I'm at that age. And so just want to let you know that up front. And first of all, I'd like to really thank Dr. Philby and the executive team, along with Lori and her staff, for welcoming me back into the campus of Greenville University. You know, it was Greenville College when we were here. And to the student body, thank you for that warm, heartfelt welcome. We are going to go on a journey today together. Listen, for all of you up in the balcony, I used to sit up in that balcony, and I know what goes on up in that balcony. So you all are probably up there studying, tweeting, doing all what you do, getting ready for your exam the next. But I'm going to try to captivate you so I can keep your attention this morning, and I definitely promise to get you out on time. There is going to be a quiz at the end of my presentation, so you need to speak. We're not letting you out of these doors until you all pass. So that's just a little side joke. But anyway, they've already introduced the love of my life, my honey, Maurice. We've been married it was 37 years, August 15th, 37 years. And we're gonna walk down memory lane a little bit. I'm gonna tell you how we met. I have come full circle because we met here at Greenville College. And I gotta tell you all the funny stories about that. But before I get started, I do wanna say, thank you to President Emeritus, President Stevens. We are on social media together. President Stevens, can you just stand and wave to the people? President Stevens was the president here when we attended. I graduated in 1983, and my husband graduated in 1982. So I want to kind of share with you our love story. Today we're going to be talking about preparing for the unexpected. Repeat that after me, preparing. Oh my God, you guys got to wake up. I got a lot of energy up here. Say preparing. One more time, say preparing. For the unexpected. Okay, the unexpected, it's not if it will happen, it's when. You are going to face things in this life that no book, no academic class is really preparing you for. You got to live it. So I'm going to talk to you about preparing for the unexpected. And so in order for us to get to preparing for the unexpected, I'm going to talk to you about 3 keys that we have incorporated in our marriage, 3 principles that we have used to prepare us for the unexpected, because I'm not going to be up here talking about just all the wonderful things. I really came by to tell you and to be transparent, to be real, and to tell you the good, the bad, and ugly of what has happened in our journey. But you can see we have got through it all because of the foundation that we have in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And without him, there's no way we could have gotten through the dark days. And I'm going to share with you later at the end of my presentation about the book. The name of my book is called More Than a Paycheck. And when I share with people, and I've done interviews and talked to people, people are always inquisitive about the title of the book, More Than a Paycheck. My husband is an IT professional, and I always tell people that's what he does for a living, but that's not who he is. During the economic turndown, my husband was downsized 3 different times, and one duration was for 2 years and 3 months. Now I'm going to put it on your level. You're probably not out in the workforce right now full time. You're going to school, you're getting your career, you're getting all of your academia taken care of, so you can't go out to the workforce and make a living. It's like if you were making $10 or $15 an hour working for the college. I'm not sure what the going rate is here. Let's say $8, it's $7.95, whatever it is. $7.25. So if you were making $7.25 an hour, and all of a sudden they decided, okay, you're going to be making $3 an hour, or you're just going to have to work, you just got to come every day, show up, and get nothing. So for 2 years and 3 months, my husband's total income was not in our household. So that's why the name of the book is called More Than a Paycheck, because if his worth to me, if his value to me was only what he brought financially into our home, we wouldn't be standing here today. Okay, so that's very important. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So take a walk down with me down memory lane. I'll never forget, it was the spring of 1978. A girlfriend and I had got on the Greyhound bus, and we had come to Greenville College at the time, and it was about a 6-hour ride on the bus. We arrived spring break, and nobody really was on campus except for some of the sports characters, I call them. But the baseball team was here. They were all huddled in the dining commons, and they're proudly wearing their Greenville College jackets. So we walked down and we saw them. I really didn't know who he was. He didn't know who I was. I just saw a group of guys hanging out with their Greenville College baseball jackets. So later on, we were coming down at that time, just coming down the street, the main corridor there. He was coming toward us, and we were coming toward him. And I'll never forget, he comes up, and we were kind of whispering like, okay, here comes this tall, real thin, lanky guy. And he says to us, if there's anything that you need on the campus, just let me know. I'll be happy to show you around. So we looked at him and we thought, yeah. And then he moved forward to tell us he was from Chicago, Illinois. And we were thinking city slicker, right? We were from a small town, Waukegan, which is about an hour north of Chicago. So we were thinking when he left, I was like, I am sure he would like to show us around. And I'm not talking about the college campus. So let me tell you. So we just laughed. Now remember, that was actually in the spring of 1978. But a devastating, unexpected event had happened to me in November of '77. My dad transitioned a day after my 17th birthday, November 16th, 1977. So even after I came to the college and took the tour and viewed, I decided to stay home a year and go to a junior college to be close to my mom and give her support. So after I did the year in dental certification, my mom said to me, Sharon, why don't you give Greenville College a try? So I said, okay. I just said, okay. Filled out the application, got accepted, and down to Greenville I came. Who do you think the first person I saw in the dining commons when I came? Slinky, tall, we call him Sweet Reese. He was there in the dining commons, and I just thought, I told my girlfriend who was my roommate, we went to the same church and we came down together, and I said, that's the guy I met last year when I came on campus to view, and I didn't come. And I thought, he's still here, and I was thinking, he hasn't graduated yet, but he was only a year ahead of me, so anyway. I met him in the dining commons, he reintroduced, and so that's the second time I met him. So from that day forward, now remember, I was dating someone else when I came to Greenville, and I was not officially engaged, but the thought was, if we go to 4 years of college, I graduated with my degree, he graduated, he was at Jackson State University, he graduates, the presumption was we would get married. My honey, I call him, he wasn't my honey at the time, he was dating someone else from SIU Edwardsville. So his girlfriend wasn't that far away. I really didn't realize that at the time that I was coming here, but I never saw her come on campus, so that was that. So long story short, we began to spend more and more time together. He became my best friend, just like two females are best of friends, tell each other their deepest dark secrets and all that. He became my best friend. And I became more and more attracted to him, not romantically attracted to him, but he was a great listener. Most of my time was talking about my boyfriend to him. So I'll never forget one time I went home. He went to Texas for a baseball trip. My husband played baseball while he was here. I was a cheerleader while I was here. We did all kinds of activities. I was an RA, hall director. I was in Ladies of El Penice. Do they still have that? Ladies of El Penice. He was in Aguara. So we did listen, our schedules were full. So I'll never forget, I went home one time. I went home on the train, and I met my boyfriend. He picked me up, and I was okay, excited to see him. But when this one called me to check on me, I just lit up like a light bulb. So I'll never forget, when I came back to campus, I hung up the phone. I said, that's really odd. That's really strange that I'm this excited about him calling me. So then I got to feeling, I'm more excited about talking to him than I am my own boyfriend. So long story short, the more we spent time together, the more I was attracted. So finally, I just called my boyfriend, and I said, look, we just need to break up because this is not going to work out. I am starting to have feelings for this one. So I broke up with my boyfriend before he broke up with his girlfriend. Then, ladies, do you have that kind of like that feeling, oh, my goodness, I hope I did the right thing. I hope I didn't let that one go, and this was not really that interested in me, and he's going to drop me before. But probably less than a couple weeks after I came and told him I had broken up with my boyfriend, he broke up with his girlfriend. And so I just wanted to tell you, follow destination, because if I had just told my mother, no, I'm not going down to Greenville, I'm just not interested, I just believe destiny. It was destined for us to be together, because I cannot believe it, and I'm going to tell our story really fast, because I have 2 adult children. Our son will be 34 this month, and our daughter 31. And I just can't imagine allowing them to get married as young as I did. I got married when I was 20 years old, and I was a student here at Greenville College. Can you believe that? Can you believe going home and tell your parents, I'm going to get married? And I'll never forget when he asked my mom, the first thing she said was, is she going to finish her education? And he said yes. Look, we were self-directed. We had planned it out on paper, how much it was going to cost us, could we afford? I'll never forget, we rented a house on Cooper. It's gone. We went there to take a picture. It has been torn down, but we rented our first house from Professor Walton. He rented a home to us, and guess how much our rent was? $156 a month. Yes, $156 a month, all utilities included. Can you believe that? So and listen, 2 bedrooms, formal dining room, living room, bathroom, big eat-in kitchen. I think some of my alumni you guys went to that house, or did you? Sherry, I believe, went there. So we really felt we were living high back then. And that was our first year. The second year of marriage, now remember, we got married August 15, 1981. We got married in August because we knew we had to get back to Greenville for school. So when we came back to campus and we moved into our house, we lived there a year, then we moved and lived on the college campus I became a hall director, and I was the hall director of Holtwick. Anybody live in Holtwick? You live in Holtwick, okay. You lived in Holtwick, okay. I was the hall director over Holtwick, and then the King Center House, and then we had Baker House. And Baker and King, they might be gone now, but that was for girls, young ladies who were seniors. And Lord knows, I don't know how in the world, they really trusted the leadership here, because I don't know how in the world I was a hall director my senior year. I was a hall director of young ladies my same age. But they respected me, and we got along just fine. But in Holtwick, I had mostly freshmen and sophomores. Now, remind you, I was a senior. I was going into my second year of marriage, and my husband was hired by the college to be the night watchman. So his big official job was to walk around campus, making sure, he was like night watchman security, making sure the young ladies had their clothes on when he went up on their set floor and said, man on the floor and all that. So some did, some didn't. So, so I was like, baby, make sure you holler very loud when you go up on that floor. But we were living a very protected environment here as a married couple. The administration here was very supportive. It was just wonderful. Finally, it was time for us to face the real world. We moved back to Waukegan, Illinois in 1983. I'll never forget. And then in 1984, we had our firstborn. In 1987, we had our second child. our life was good. We were beginning to get into our careers. Now, mind you, I'm a speech communications major, but my first jobs were not in that field. I worked corporate. I worked in the corporate as a analyst, and I worked in a renal division of Baxter Healthcare Corporation for 5 years. Then when we had our children, I came home for 5 years, and then we decided when I went back to work, I wanted to do something that gave me lots of flexibility. So I went into the nonprofit world, and for a while I did direct service, and then after that, I went to management. Now, I really didn't want to go into management. I ran from it, but that's just where God called me. I guess I'm a people person, good with people and all that, so I just kept getting promotion after promotion. I was a coordinator, then I was a manager, program director, and then eventually I'll tell you more about me becoming director of the careers division. But while in Illinois, quote, we thought we were living the American dream, if there is such a thing. We had the 2 kids, not the picket fence, but we had our starter home, then we bought our second home in a nicer community that was a little larger. We gutted ourselves. Everything was fine. In 1999, we made a huge decision, because remember, I was born and raised in Waukegan, Illinois, but we made a huge decision to transition our whole lives, and we moved to Georgia. And we were in the home that we built. We built our dream home there. I had never built a home in my life, but God just blessed us to build our dream home. And we moved there in 1999. Not really, I have one sister that lives there, but that's it. So we didn't have all of our friends. We had to start all over in terms of relationships and all of that. Our children knew no one, and I don't know what we were thinking, because our son was going to high school and our daughter was going to middle school, but we were just thinking, this is a good time to move, but we didn't realize now, oh my God, can you imagine being a freshman in high school and then going to middle school? You don't have one friend on the bus. My daughter, I never forget the days walking her to the corner, tears streaming down, and I was like, it's gonna be all right, baby, it's gonna be all right. And she would just cry and cry. She was going to 6th grade. My son, he toughened it up. He was going to 9th. But they made it through, and they did very well. Our son has been in the United States Navy now for 14 years, and he serves his country well. We're so very proud of him. He just got back off a tour. He has been everywhere. When I say everywhere, he's been on every continent. He actually spent 45 days in Antarctica. They were laying communications. He's in communications and engineering. Our daughter is a graduate of UGA. She is in the corporate world, and actually, she's in career transition. She texted me right before I came. She had a telephone interview last week and a face-to-face interview today at 11, so we're keeping her in our prayers, but she's doing very well. We're very proud of our children. They're doing very, very well, and they're both millennials, and they have taught me a lot. So we learn from each other, and I just love every generation. And just so you know, I have been in workforce development, like she said, for over 20 years, so I know all about careers. I know what happens when you go out to the workforce, when people won't hire you because they say you don't have experience. How are you going to get experience if you don't give me an opportunity? So I could tell you story after story how to break that glass ceiling, because God opened doors for me that I didn't even, a lot of positions I had, I really didn't have the training. I just taught my way through it. And then I learned it when I got there. So if I could tell you a little secret about getting jobs, if you can talk your way, you can get that position. And as for Dr. Sherman is not here. He was one of my professors when I was here. He used to say in speech communications class, and I took an interviewing course, he said, if you want the job, you ask for it. And let me tell you, from a person who has hired many people over the years, it's true. If you really want the position, if you can do it well, you ask for it before you leave, okay? So that's a little nugget. So that's a little background of our story. So now I'm going to talk to you. I've shared with you a little bit how we met, our courtship took you, how we moved to Waukegan, Illinois, and how we moved to Atlanta, Georgia, in our lives, like I said. And listen, I have something in common with you, I'm sure. How many people in here have student loan debt? Okay, we had that in common. Now, for us back in the 80s, $20,000, I had $10,000 in student loan debt, and my husband had $10,000. Now, back in those days, I thought, I am never going to pay this money off. And I used to work for the National Direct Student Loan Office with Violet Altenrith. I worked in NDSL, and he was working for maintenance. And I thought, we're never going to pay this student loan debt off. And, you know, we were married, so we never went back home. After we left here and was married, I never returned home. And my daughter graduated in 2010, and I was telling Lori the funny story this morning. I said, we sat on the couch the summer she was going to graduate, and I looked at my husband, I said, where do you think Christine's going after graduation? And he looked and laughed. He said, where do you think she's going? She's coming back here. And I kid you not, within a week, we heard the key of our front door opening. She was moving, packing her stuff, and moving back home. And she came back home for 5 years. And she came back from 2010 to 2015. And she always had a job. She just couldn't find the type of position that would pay her enough in the Atlanta market, unless she was going to live somewhere that was dangerous and, crime-ridden, that she could move into. So finally, she made enough, and she finally worked it out with some colleagues, and they moved into a beautiful 2-story, something I probably wouldn't have done, but there's 3 of them. They're in a gated community, and they share rent, so, they make it work for them. But when we moved to Georgia in 1999, I never knew that the unexpected was going to happen to us. And that's the thrust of what I want to share with you this morning, preparing for the unexpected. Ours began in 2003. In 2003, my husband called me and sat me on his lap. He said, babe, I've got something to tell you. And I was like, what? And our son was, remind you, getting ready to go to college. He said, and my husband, when we moved to Georgia, he telecommuted all the way to Illinois. He only went home a couple times a year, but he worked for a huge insurance company. And he had worked there when he first got downsized for 17 years. He put me on his lap and said, I have a decision to make. They're saying that they're going to do some restructuring. Now we know restructuring is a code word for downsizing. They're going to do some restructuring, and I have to go back and interview for my position. I thought, this is the craziest thing. You've been there all these years. Why would you have to interview for the position you already know what to do? And so we thought about it, we talked about it, we prayed about it, and we said, we got a son going to college. Our daughter had settled in, had lots of friends in Georgia. We didn't know there was going to be an economic tank. We thought, well, it'll be easy for you to just get another job. At that time, we just switched everything under me. I carried all of our insurance, blah, blah. Now, if you think about it, in 2003, it really wasn't that bad. There was just some structural changes going on. So we made the decision. He went back and got some more certifications in the IT field to make it more relevant, and he found another position. Wasn't making as much as he did at the prior job that he had, but he got another position. So I call that the very first downsizing. The second time it happened in 2008. He was working at the company. He'd only been there about 4 years. So needless to say, he didn't have the pension plan there or the package and all that. And I failed to tell you, the first job he did. So he didn't have all that. And remember, I'm getting promoted. And by now I'm working for a Jewish organization. And talk about the unexpected. I was the first African-American director over the careers division that they've ever hired. And I held that position for 13 years. And it was very funny because I'll never forget when I was first invited to come, and I worked my way up. And I tell you, I've always run from management. I didn't want to do it, too much responsibility. I don't want to do adult babysitting. That was my whole thing. And God said, I've called you to be a leader in the workplace. So I took the position, became a program director, and eventually the director of career. So I kept getting promoted, kept getting increases. So at that time when he was downsized the second time and shared with me, I left work that day, I'll never forget, ran home, cooked him his favorite meal, and we just talked about it. He was like, you didn't need to come home, and I thought, I wanted to be here to support you. So that was the second downsizing, and that was what I call the tsunami. I always say that marriage or relationships are like a weather forecast. Sometimes things are going sunny, wonderful, great, your kids are doing well, things are wonderful. Sometimes a cloud comes over you. Things aren't bad, but they're not as good as they really could be. And then sometimes you're going to hit a tornado. Something happens, it hits fast and furious, but you come out of it. And sometimes you're going to experience something like a tsunami. A tsunami is fast, it's furious, it's devastating, and it could upset your life like never before. Well, that did. 2 years and 3 months. At that time, he was making a 6-digit salary. So that means that 6-digit salary was no longer in our income in our household. And we've always been very budgety. I always tried to live off of one income, save. So I saved over the years and made sure that we had savings. They always say 6 to 9 months savings have. I probably had 2 years and so forth. But by the time we went through that 2 years and 3 months of unemployment by my husband, we went through all of our savings. We went through all of our 401k. We were looking at each other wondering, how are we going to pay our mortgage? Long story short, we just kept putting our trust in God. And those are the three things I want to talk to you about to have in your arsenal. Many of you are bright, you're intelligent, you have a great outlook on life. So I'm not sharing something with you that you haven't heard before. If I can impart anything to you, is to create a toolkit. A toolkit is something that you place in your arsenal so that when unexpected events happen in your life, you don't have to go grappling to see, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to address what's going on in my life? You'll have something to draw from, something that you can address the unexpected. So first of all, our number one core, people are always asking us when we travel, what are the core principles? What are the 3 keys? And I say 3 keys. They didn't ask what the 3 keys were. We brought it down to 3 keys. What makes your marriage successful? There are 3 things that we live by, that we function by. The first one is our faith. Say after me, faith. Faith. The second one is friendship. Say friendship. Friendship. And the third one is fun. So let's say them together. Faith, friendship, and fun. Those are the 3 keys of our relationship: faith, friendship, and fun. And then I'm going to give you some examples of how those 3 things played an intricate part. Now, yours could be very different, but I subscribe to you. Have something, your core principles that drive you in your relationship building and all of that. In our faith, I have lived unexpected events. The unexpected events, I had 2 sisters that transitioned and died in 2000 within 4 months of each other. When my mom transitioned, she was in my arms in 2016. When my dad died when I was 17 years old as a senior, those were unexpected deaths. If our faith in our cornerstone and relationship with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ was not there, there was no way I could have made it. And I always tell people, we are not religious by any stretch of the imagination. We are not religious. Oh, I'm getting a note. Can you? Okay. Let me take it off. I didn't see that. Okay, is that better? I am so sorry. My earring's been hidden. Okay, all right, back to that. If we had not used our faith, friendship, and fun, it's good to have technology. I wasn't reading. In our relationship, we could not have made it. So those deaths, I could not have faced those dark, difficult days. If we had not had faith in our marriage and our relationship, there is absolutely no way we could have made it through the storm. And I said, we would have turned on each other, not to each other. But it's our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ that got us through. Friendship. I always tell people, I really like my husband. Even days when I don't feel like I'm in love with him, I like the man. I like his character. I like the way he stands up for his family, his leadership, all of those things. The many things that I fell in love with him, thus more than a paycheck. His character, his integrity, the way that he carries himself, the way that he never sat around, even when he couldn't find a job. He threw himself into volunteerism and all of that. So I appreciate that about him. And then fun. We create fun in our marriage and our relationship. We have a lot of fun, and even when we didn't have a lot of money, and I know you all can identify with that as college students, not having a lot of money, we would do things that didn't cost money. We would make a sack lunch and go up under the stars and have a little picnic. We live in a community, thank God, that has a lot of amenities, so we would use all of our amenities, go out and play tennis, go by the pool, take our lunch, all of that. We didn't do for really, and I'm honestly, we stand before you and say, probably mostly like you, I did very little shopping those 2 years and 3 months because I had to make sure that the necessities of our life were being paid. And remember, I shared with you, at that time, our son was a freshman in college. So faith, friendship, and fun is what really got us through and helped us through those moments. So I want to give you an assignment for the end of the day. And your assignment is, I want you to, is there anybody in here besides myself, I know there might be, that are married in the room? Oh, good. For all my married couples, continue to have those deep conversations about your relationship and your marriage. Talk about those hard things that you haven't talked about. Have some core principles that drive your marriage. Marriage does rock. I know a lot of times marriage gets negative press. You know how you see the commercials and they say singles and they having a good time and the commercial's good, marriage, oh my God, it's so boring. You know, the all ball and chain. But I enjoy my marriage. I have a good time. We have a lot of fun. We have date night. Implement those things in your marriage. Any engaged people in the room? Anybody engaged to be married? Do I have a hand in the balcony? Engaged? Up there? You in the hoodie. Are you engaged? Oh, okay, I thought you were here, but okay, if there's anybody engaged, or if one day you want to get married, I always tell people when you hear the word marriage, especially if you're getting ready to get married, what do you hear? People talk about the event, which is the wedding. They don't talk about the journey called life. Have those hard conversations about your relationship, about marriage, about communications, intimacy, if you want kids, if you don't want kids. And then for those who are single or are happy in your singleness, I say invest in relationships. Enjoy being single. Don't fall into the box, because marriage is hard, it's difficult, but you can have heaven on earth if you're willing to make the investment. So I just want to say, everybody take out your phones real quick. I'm going to give you my website. It's 1017. I want to get you out of here. And I want to introduce my book to you. Go to let's take out our phones. I know you probably all have them. www.Sharon, is SharonAlmon.com. You'll pull up my website. Put your phone up in the air if you got my website up. I want to see if you, Sharon, it's www.Sharon, ShaRon, then my middle initials, L, then my last name is Almond. It's like almond without the D, like the almond nut with no D in it. So it's ALMON, so Sharon L. Almond. Anybody get my website? Raise your phone if you got it. Good, raise your phones up high. Okay, hit me on my website. But I want you guys, look, my millennials are teaching me. Social media. But I want you to all go to my website. I have some interviews on there. We just did a documentary. You can check that out. And then this is my book, my baby. I'm so proud of it. More Than a Paycheck came out last year. It's doing well. We've sold over 1,200 copies already. So you can help me, and I know you guys are on a budget, right? So I've got packets back there. You can get the family rate, family and friends rate. Today it's going for $10. All right, $10, and if you want to go in with somebody sitting by you, that's only $5 and $5. So I'll be back here autographing books after. I'm going to be up in the, Joe's Drava at 11:30. I'm getting hot, fan alert. So I'll be signing, autographing, and signing books back here, but More Than a Paycheck will be available for you. I'd love for you to come by and get your copy. So I have lots of books here and like to autograph them for you. And I thank you so much for being wonderful. How did I do in the balcony? Okay, thank you for having me.